Hey friends, it's Carol, Saltbox Stitcher. It's Sunday, it's the 7th of November. We're into November already. This is supposed to be first weekend Blackbird weekend, but I don't know that I'm complying. I have a hard time complying. Anyway, this is video number, I think 56. I was waiting for my husband to yell out 56 or whatever, but he didn't, so he's non-compliant too. Yes, I'm exhausted. We had the grands. Now keep in mind, Camila's 6, Elijah's 8. Picked them up from school Friday. We had them almost all day yesterday. They wear me out. They're so fun and so cute, but they do love their technology, so we have to continually try to monitor that. So anyway, I'm glad I'm back. I usually video on Saturday, but that's why I didn't video yesterday. And yes, I know I need a haircut, but it is what it is. So I do have 2 finishes, and I really need to do a lot of fully finishing. I pulled out, and I didn't show them this time because I'm going to wait till I get them stuffed. Well, first of all, my granddaughter yesterday, I said, Camille, we need to put out some Thanksgiving stuff. And she's like, oh, I'll help you. I'll help you. So we found my Lizzie High pilgrims and the Native American that goes with them. The pilgrim lady, her head had come off. So then we had to wait for Papa to glue the head back on. Anyway, she helped me decorate. So there's a few other things there, not much. I left out some fall things. I left out that quilt. I don't know for sure the name of the quilt. I know it's a Country Threads. I want to say it's like Acorns and Leaves, but I don't know for sure. But it is by Country Threads, and it's older. I made it years ago. So anyway, what have I been stitching? A lot of what I have sitting here is just radar. So I'm going to title this one a weather report. Get it? See what I did there? Radar, weather. Okay. Speaking of weather, we had a nor'easter come through. It was colder here yesterday than it was like in Kansas and Iowa. I still had Amana weather on my phone, so it was like 53 in Amana yesterday, and it was 51 here. Plus it was rainy, so it was humid cold. When I was out on Friday, I went to the grocery store. My umbrella went inside out. I was sure I was going to be Mary Poppins in a few minutes, but anyway. What have I been stitching? So I had 2 things that I finished stitching. And of course, I put them at the bottom of the pile here, so hold on. Well, the first one I finished is by Notforgotten Farm. I showed you my start on this last time. It's called the Reverend Gourdon Squashbottom, Notforgotten Farm. I love this. I think I had a comment from Lori Brechlin, who is Notforgotten Farm, and she said, "So nice to see the Rev." So I finished the Rev, all completely finished. I just need to fully finish. I'm not sure. I think I want to frame him, but I'm not going to do that till probably next year. This is 40 count Winter Brew by R&R. You can get it at Dying to Stitch or a lot of other places, but Dying to Stitch is R&R. Anyway, I used the called for, and I think I mentioned this last time. I changed one color. The color that was supposed to be on these lighter little triangles that go around the edge. That was supposed to be, the called for was 422 DMC. I used all DMC for this, but it wasn't showing up on the linen. So instead of 422, I used 3045. So you can see, I think I showed this last time, didn't I? The contrast, just a little bit darker. 4022, 3045. 4022 on the bottom. I mean 422 on the bottom, 3045 on the top. So that's the Reverend Gourdon Squashbottom. He's adorable. He also has a wife, girlfriend. I think her name is Prunella, something like that. But he's wonderful. So I finished him, and then I'm gonna have to go get something. Anyway, I will in just a second. I decided to pull out some with needle and thread. Now, I did get quite a few things. I showed them last time at the retreat, which, by the way, I apologize, Michelle, it's no longer called the Midwest Cross Stitch Retreat. It's called Farm Girl Gathering. So I was doing old school instead of new school. So the retreat in Manor is now called Farm Girl Gathering, and there's a fall one and a spring one. I've only been to the fall ones. Anyway, so I decided to pull out, this one is called Peppermint Pals. Sorry for the glare. Brenda Gervais. This was a kit that I got in 2019, which she did have the retreat in 2020. It's Michelle Rudy, but I didn't go because of COVID, but I was still on the, I could still sign up for the 2021 one. So I don't know if I said that last time, but when I went in 2019, I got this as a kit. So this is called Peppermint Pals. He's all finished. Love his little plaid shorts, his little scarf, his bird with the candy cane, his little snowman, basket with the candy canes, and he is all done, unless there's something that I forgot. There's nothing on the inside of those berries, in case you're thinking I forgot that. So anyway, he turned out very cute. He is done on, this is 32 count Lugana, stitch 1 thread over 2. It's by Picture This Plus. I think it's called Mint. Hold please and I'll tell you for sure. I'm pretty sure it's called Mint. I used all the called for colors. It is, since it was a kit, I also have the rickrack, goes around the edge when I finish it, and then the little snow button, which you have to paint or charm. I guess it's more of a charm. So you paint that with acrylic paint in a off-white or eggshell color. Light buttermilk is what it's painted with. And I used everything that was on the chart because it was a kit. But yes, it's called 32 count Mint Lugana by Picture This Plus. I just have to come up with a backing. And when I stitched this, I don't use a Q-snap. I don't use a hoop. I just stitch in hand. So I conserve as much of the linen as I can because I don't need the extra to like go over a hoop. So you could have stitched it this way, but because I only need, you know, a quarter or half inch for the seam allowance when I fully finish it, I stitched it on this half because, you know, heaven knows I might want to stitch it again. Probably not, but you know. Anyway, so I have the other half of the Lugana. I want to say linen, but it's not really linen. I think it's some sort of a blend, but I'm not 100% sure. And then last night when I finished that one, hold on. I'm on my 3rd cup of coffee this morning. I don't usually drink 3 cups of coffee. yesterday morning though. The grandkids woke me up, and they love my breakfasts because I make scrambled eggs and I put cheese in, so they're really creamy. So they call them cheesy eggs. And so they woke me up. My husband was already up, but they woke me up. Grammy, we're hungry. It's like, okay. So I started cooking before I had any coffee. I like my coffee. Anyway, here were the threads I used for that. And I did not change anything. Now there was a note on the kit that said did not include bayberry, but instead substituted emerald. But my kit had bayberry, so I don't know if I pulled that from my stash because that's the main color on the border. Peppermint Pals with a needle and thread. Okay. So last night I finished that one and I thought, well, I want to start something else. So I kind of looked around. I have quite a few things here that, like I said, are on my radar. But I pulled this one because I'm kind of into doing smalls for Christmas. Now, I already have a lot of smalls for Christmas. And I only have so many dough bowls and places to put them. But whatever. We'll find some room somewhere. And I had this kit. This was from Country Sampler. This was back, I think there was a Stacy Nash Club at one time a few years ago that I was in, and I've always loved this, December, and if you can see, it says 25th in that red. And then it says Merry Christmas at the bottom. Now the kit came with, I want to say it was 32 count Dirty by Zweigart, and even though I stitched on that 32 count Lugana, because it's Picture This Plus, it was tighter. I started stitching on that 32 count and I was like, I can't do it. Plus I didn't feel like it was really great coverage because on the snowman, and this one is called December 25th Pin Keep, Stacy Nash. On the snowman, you've got a lot of white. So anyway. So I started stitching on him, and I used the colors that were called for in the kit. December 25th Pin Keep, and it was all the called for colors. And I'm working on the word December, and I have the hat done. So I just barely started it last night. I think I stitched on it for an hour and a half or whatever. But the hat is finished, so I'm ready to start the snowman. Do the December. This came with ticking for the backing, and this will just be, I don't even know if I'll put trim on that. I might put some either dark red or something, or some cording. Here I'm talking about fully finishing it, and I haven't even stitched it yet. That's some sort of weird. Anyway, I just think it's really cute. Kind of into snowman, have you noticed? I'm going to pause it for just a minute because there's something I forgot. It's still in my sewing room, so I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had to go get something that has some on my radar stuff. One thing, and I kind of doubt I'll get to this, but my friend Tina, who's in my stitching, one of my stitching groups, you can follow her. It's Tina Whittingslow on Instagram, and she just finished this. She just posted it. Notforgotten Farm, Thomas. And as we come up to Thanksgiving, I mean, I still have time. I could get this done. It's all DMC, so I'll have to pull those, but they're pretty well, they're pretty common. I also have a conversion, but I don't know if I'll use that. But Thomas, and I pulled a piece of, I really am not sure what this is. It's a kind of a mystery linen. It's a little bit like Winter Brew, but I don't even know where I got it that surges like this. With two different colors. See, it's like surged with two different colors. So I'm not sure what it is. I think it's 36 count. It's either 36 or 40. I think he would go nicely on this. I just need to pull the color. I'm not sure. So I'm into stitching Christmas, but since it's before Thanksgiving, I'm still kind of thinking of possibly starting this. This is pretty heavy stitching, so I don't know that I would finish it by Thanksgiving, but maybe, who knows, maybe. So anyway, back to Christmas stitching. So I'm kind of between well, I have a lot of Christmas kitted stuff. Surprise, surprise. And also, I failed to mention last time that Susie Reno had given me this wonderful bag. It's like netting, so you can see what's in it. And then it's, I don't know if she quilted this or if it came pre-quilted. But anyway, it was for the girls' retreat that I wasn't able to attend. And it's just wonderful. Anyway, thank you, Susie. I forgot to mention that. She gave it to me at the Midwest retreat. So I have lots and lots of things here. I think first I'll talk about something that I want to finish that I have started. And then I'll show you some possibilities. Radar. And then I'll talk a little bit about sampler. Black, I want to do finish. I want to work on black thread sampler. But this one, I think it's kind of cool. Okay, so years, you know, I say years ago. It could have been 2 years, could have been 5 years, could have been 7 years. I don't know. But I got a kit from Shepherd's Bush. And what they do, I think they still have them. They take 7 count. I don't think this is Ada. This is more like Congress cloth or one of those. And they do this Prairie Schooler Santas. And then you make it into a pillow. I like this kind of seasonal pillow. I have a couple other things that I have one, I forgot to show you, but one that I did that had Trick or Treat. And then I have a couple other Christmas pillows. So this one is so close to being done. Obviously, we have a head and we have a tail, but we have no body. I ain't got no body. So I need his front legs and his antlers. So I have quite a bit left to do, but this is it. And what you use on these is pearl cotton. I'm sure, and you have to use a big old needle. I think this is probably a 24. No, this has got to be bigger than that. 26. It's really fun to do, and it's very quick. But I had put it away because once I get past Christmas, I'm not really into stitching Christmas. So, and then on the beard, let's see if I have the threads. On the beard, you use this alpaca. And then there's buttons that you put on by just another button company. So it's all number 3 pearl cotton. And I think I have at least one more of these kitted up. To do. It could be Ada. I don't know. It's a big count. Let me see what it says. Oh no, here we go. When in doubt, look at the, just read. Prairie Schooler Santa 2016 7 count Clostern. And then it has, I'm not going to give you the changes. Well, I kind of already did, but go to Shepherd's Bush and you can request a kit. I think they still have them. But it's done with pearl cotton, number 3. So I just don't have very much left to do on that. And it's really mindless. I mean, I can see to do it even without my readers. And by the way, people do ask me about my readers. I use 4.0 readers. Now for something like this, even if I did use readers, I would only use like 2.5 or 2.0. I get them from iKeepers, which I really liked the last set I got. I think I got a set of 4 and it was very reasonable. So I'll have my husband put the link in the description box. iKeepers, one word, E-Y-E, Keepers. So check them out. Anyway, something like this I could do without even needing my readers. So, of course, then once I finish it, I make it into a pillow, but I definitely want to work on that and get that done. So then, where am I? I'm going to just show you a bunch of Christmas, and then I'll show you a few things about haul. I don't think this will be a real long video. I'm not showing quilts. My husband said they're going to put that on my tombstone. It's not going to be a long video. This is a bag by Cross Stitch Nook. I got it last year. Adorable. She has an Etsy shop. These are just random things in this that are Christmas, that are kitted, that are options. It's always good to have options. The first one is another one of the Stacy Nash Country Sampler. Well, maybe it wasn't part of the, it's definitely kitted by Country Sampler. This is called the 1806 Manor House Sewing Roll. It may be not supposed to be Christmas, but to me, I don't know, it just looks kind of Christmassy to me. Who am I? Just one crazy woman rambling about her stitching. Anyway, it's in this Christmas. I've always wanted to do this one. This is by Kitten Stitcher, Shakespeare's Peddler. It's called Jenny Bean's Christmas Sampler. And had I but one penny, thou shouldst have it to buy gingerbread, wrought gladly by Jenny Bean. That would be a really fun one to work on. I have one of the Prairie Schooler Santas, but the piece is not in here. Oh yeah, I mean the pattern's not in here. One of these days I'll start on that, because that one, I'm sure there's a pattern somewhere. Who knows? Here's a couple others that I would love to do, and I have these kitted. This is Sampler House 6 by Plum Street. How cute is that? I might just keep this out. I have the 36 count Weathered Shingle by R&R. It's kind of a light gray. I don't know. It's a little bit darker than that. With the called for. That's a definite maybe, because I really like that one. Put that in my bag. My I just want to get some these done that are small and really 3 to 4 days. If I get a decent amount of stitching, obviously depending on the size of it, 3 to 4 days I can get them done. This one also by Plum Street, Hello Winter. I just think that's adorable. The sheep, the cardinal, love it all. Again, have it kitted. This particular one is on 36 count Beach Brew, also by R&R. Did I say that the Weathered Shingle was by R&R? Because it is. Y'all know that you can get, I urge you to call Dying to Stitch if you want R&R. I know other places carry it, but Dying to Stitch is R&R. There's two legs to their business. One is R&R Reproductions and Fabric. The other is Dying to Stitch, which is a brick and mortar shop. Call, talk to Ann or anybody that answers the phone and tell them what you want, and they will get it shipped to you. Really. We need to support our brick and mortars as well as our online. But sometimes we get so used to, I know I'm guilty of this sometimes. You get so used to getting stuff really quickly from an online store. You know, they might ship it in 3 days. Maybe it takes a store 5 to 7 days. I mean, come on, people. We have enough to stitch. We don't have to have it tomorrow. So support your local brick and mortar. I don't really have a brick and mortar, so I support a lot of. Here's another one, Mary 3 by Plum Street. Oops. This is done on American Chestnut, also by R&R. Very cute. I mean, this will just go fast. Okay, this is another here's another one. This was actually a club kit, Colonial Gatherings, but I'm sure it's out now. Mount Vernon Christmas. Why would you not love a big house like that? Sorry, this is really glary. Glary. Do you want the glare or do you want the crinkle? You decide. Kind of a toss-up. Mount Vernon Christmas by Plum Street. How cute is that? So that was a club kit, so that's kitted. I'm getting hepped up about these. Laura. What a silly woman. Showed you Mary 3. I also have this one, which is a club kit by Scarlet House from also Dying to Stitch. And this one is done on, hold please, mink. You know, I forgot to tell you on my, the Stacy Nash one that I started last night. Let's hold please, this one. I forgot to tell you the linen. This is on 40 count, oops, 40 count mink. Also by R&R. Right here is Dying to Stitch's phone number. Can you see it? It's kind of blurry. Write this down, 757-366-8740. I don't know if you can read that. Anyway, this one was Scarlet House and done on mink. See, a lot of these are just like quick. Okay, that's the end of that bag. Then we get into With Thy Needle and Thread, and I showed you a lot of these last time because I got them at the retreat, but here's another one, Be Jolly. It's kind of a band sampler, Candy Cane Lane, With Thy Needle and Thread. How cute is that? I don't have linen in here. 40 count natural silver sparkle. I won't use sparkle. I'm not a glam. I think they're cute. My daughter would probably love them, but speaking of my daughter, this is one I need to work on for her for Christmas. So that, and then I have another secret stitch that I have to do. But anyway, this is, so, you know, how much of this is really gonna get done? I don't know. We'll just have to see. I have this one. I love this one. I love lots. Obviously, I love all these. I wouldn't have bought them. I wouldn't have kitted them if I didn't love them. So I'm getting redundant. But this is called Paper Snowflakes, also by With Thy Needle and Thread. Some of these are a little bit of her old, well, I don't know when this came out, to be very honest with you. 2013. So see, that one's been out for a while. But a lot of these she has on her website. And I know she periodically closes her website. That's just, you know, she's one person. So, you know, she's not going to be open 24/7. Paper Snowflakes. This one calls for Abecedarian, also by R&R. And I have some of that because I have some of that for my word plays. Another thing I need to work on, the word plays. Plus I have 2 quilts that I'm desperately trying to get finished. One is Christmas, one is fall. And I'm hoping this week. I closed down accepting quilts. It was supposed to be November 1st, but I went a little over that. So hopefully I'll be able to quilt some of mine too. This is all over the place. What's new, right? Okay, so that's a width I needle and thread that I would like to do. I showed you Candy Cane. Here's an older one, and this was from 2009, but how adorable is this? Adorable. I could see this on like something really dark linen, like sand dune. Look at her. And it says Noel, Miss Snow Fairy. Country, width I needle and thread, it's Country Stitches number 27, Miss Snow Fairy. Look at her sweet little face, her little snowman face. I don't have that one kitted. Some of these older ones, we do have a cross stitch store in Jacksonville. It's been closed to the public for almost 2 years. They will bring things out to your car if you know what you want, but there's no perusing. So if you want floss and you have a list, you can email or call, and when you get there, you call them and tell them I'm here, and they will come out to your car and show you what they've pulled, and then they will go take your card, go back into the building, and they will do the charge, and then come back out to your car and have you sign it. Then they go back into the building and they get your receipt and bag it, and then they come back to the car to bring your package and your card. So I do believe in supporting my local, but I got this one. I showed you this last time at the retreat. Love that one. Trying to pick some ones that I've had for a while that you might not have seen. Here's another adorable one, and this one is kitted. This one uses, let's see, I have it kitted with something. What do I have it kitted with? Let's see. Oh, 40 count Old Town Blend. It actually calls for something else, but it's called, I love this, Christmas at Winterberry. How cute is that? So see, I don't have a problem combining stitching on some of what I would call the cutesier ones versus the more primitive ones. Like, to me, this is a little more primitive. Oh, did I tell you the name of that? Christmas at Winterberry Cabin. But I do kind of separate them when I display them. So in other words, I might have a dough bowl filled with the ones like on the Mint Lugana and like this one. And then I have a different dough bowl that I might have in a different place that also has the primitive ones. That's just how I roll. Because I do like traditional Christmas colors. I like the brighter, not bright red, but just traditional Christmas colors. Some of these I showed you last time, so. Oh, I had a lot of people ask me about the gift that I got at the retreat. And I wanted to show you. I still have it kitted. I was thinking about doing this as an exchange gift, but this is called Letters for Santa. Letters for Santa. And this came out in 2012. Oops, upside down. And so you see it does, now she didn't put that much ticking, but it does, you can put ticking. It actually calls for fine areosa. Areosa is 22 count, so it makes a fairly big pillow. So obviously if you do it on 36, 40, 32 count, whatever, it's gonna be a lot smaller, which is what mine was stitched on. Oh, I thought this was gonna be short. This is the one, I think I showed you this last, I'm pretty sure I showed you, because this is the one that I made for my exchange gift, and I want to stitch it for myself, but I'm only going to do the top half again. That's called Snowy Meadow, also by With Thy Needle and Thread. And I don't know that Brenda's happy about having to reprint that, so sorry, Brenda. Here's another one. I love this, and I have a whole cone of this red and white string. This one is called Peppermint and Holly. And this one, I have a piece of Twilight by Weeks Dye Works. Oops. So it looks more black, but this is actually more gray. But you could use a brown. There's a color, what's it called? It's by Weeks. There's also a, if I think about it, I'll have my husband put in a trailer. There's also a floss color by the same name. It's real brown. Anyway, if I think about it. So you could do it on that too. Peppermint and Holly. Love these cute little angels. Adorable. Let's see what else. This one could go into January. Which I've been thinking, as my husband said, did it hurt? Yes, it did. It hurt my brain. I've been thinking every January for the past couple years, I've picked a sampler and worked on it all the way through January. And then I tried to finish it either end of January or the first part of February. 2 years ago, I did Red House Sampler by Brenda Keys. Last year, I did Elizabeth Watt by Milady's Needle, I think. Anyway, so I'm thinking about one that I want to just really focus on for the entire month of January, a sampler. Now, all that said, on the 1st of January, I'm going to do the Elizabeth Isles by Scarlet Letter. I didn't bring it out. That's Brenda's birthday salve. So I will start that on her birthday. But then the rest of January, I'm going to work on just one sampler. I haven't decided yet whether it'll be one that I've already started because I really want to get my whip count down, or whether it's going to be something that I have not done, which would be a new start. Anyway, I would like to do this one. This is not really a reproduction sampler, obviously, but I do think it's adorable. Heap on the Wood, also by With Thy Needle and Thread. I have it kitted. It calls for beige by 40 count. Well, it may call for 36. Oh, it actually calls for 32 with the threads. So see, I have a lot of options. And all of these are housed in this wonderful, here's another one, Snowbirds. Cute, With Thy Needle and Thread. And I have a couple more, but I have all of my With Thy Needle and Thread in this wonderful bag. Christmas ones, not all of mine. Let's not get... let's not tell the fibs. There's a couple more that I'm thinking about. This one, since I just finished Peppermint Pals, is Merry Old Soul. This was one that I bought in 2019 again at the retreat in Manor, which was also Brenda Gervais at the time. And then I bought these two kits as well. Santa's Tree Farm. These are easy greasies. Easy peasy, easy greasy. Easy peasy. I don't know. And then there's this one. Hoopla. The snowman. So, those are Radar. And then I have a few Blackbird that are Radar. This one, Frosty's Night Out. It's a drum, adorable. You can put it into one of those boxes and then just make it into like a snowman's hat. Sort of like the one that is the patriotic Uncle Sam one. So you use some paper mache box and then you use one of those round plaque. What's it called? Okay, I'll tell you. It's called a circular wooden plaque from Hobby Lobby and a paper mache 4-inch round box. So if you want to be getting the stuff. This came out last year, I think last year. Here's another Blackbird one that came out last year, and my friend is stitching this. I don't have all of the colors yet. In other words, it's not fully kitted. Shocker. Shocker. It's called Christmas Rose by Blackbird. And she's doing it on 40 count, and it's small because it's only, well, let me tell you, it's 115 by 151. So if you used 40 count, divide 20. 115 would be 5.5. 151 would be 7.5. 5.5 by 7.5. Cute. Cute, cute, cute. That's an option. Then I have a couple of these cuties. This is Maker of Good Things by Notforgotten Farm. S. Claus. Well, it says Maker of Good Things. It's named Santa S. Claus. Again, this is DMC. And then there's this guy, Blue Bell Snickle. And I know there's other Bell Snickles. I need to get those too. Blue Bell Snickle. He's adorable. Again, DMC. So this one is like 73 by 101. I mean, hello. He's just a cutie. You could make him an ornament on 40 count. Because that would be 3.5 by 5. That's a little bit big for an ornament, but hey, if you have a big tree. I'd like to get started on some of these I showed you last time. This is the new book, The Snowbirds. And one of the things, I don't think I showed you the back of the book. These cute ones. These are actually my favorite. So I got that kitted with, I think it is, okay, hold on. Hold, please. Patriots Brew. And I have a piece of 40 count Patriots Brew. So I could use that. Oh no, I don't need it. Duh, I bought it kitted. Complete with buttons and everything. I finally have decided on Winter Rose Manor. I saw Kay Dunlap's. She did one and brought it to the brag table at Amana. And she said, I said, what color linen? Because I tried it on dirty. I didn't like it. I think I have a piece of something else. I didn't like it. And she said, Winter Brew. So Winter Rose Manor. I think I talked about that last time too. On Winter Brew. So my dilemma, not a dilemma. I have a piece that's, I've cut into it, but it's a fat half. So I hate to do something small because Winter Rose Manor is not huge. Well, how huge is it, Carol? A lot of people don't hear me when I talk softly. How huge is it, Carol? It is, I don't know. Well, it calls for an 18 by 18 piece of 36 count. Well, 36 count, 18 by 18 with 6-inch margins is, I mean, 3 and 3 is going to be about 12 by 12. So 40 count would be even smaller. But anyway, I have a fat half that I have cut into, but there's still a lot of a big piece. So if I can get it to fit on this section here, so that what's left is a fairly big piece, I will have to do measuring. I think I can get it to fit into there, especially if I frame it myself, or I think. So that's 40 count. But I also have a fat quarter of winter. This is Winter Brew, by the way. Did I say that? I also have a fat quarter of Winter Brew that's 36 count. And so I'm going to kind of analyze what is the most efficient use of my linen. In other words, if a fat quarter is going to end up with just some pieces left, then I'll go for the 40 count and cut that even and see if that'll work. Got it? I said I was going to talk about Blackbird, and then I pull up Winter Rose Manor, but that's what was in front of me. So another, I don't have this kitted, but I do have some of the colors. I know it calls for sanguine linen by weeks, but these little, I just love these little strawberry patterns. Adorable. And they're cute in a bowl. So I have those. Then I have this whole Home for the Holidays book. My friend Tina, that just finished the Thomas turkey, she started working on these, the stockings. And so there's, let me see how many there are. Oh, I also have this one ready to go with a piece of Peeps Lost Sheep. 35 count by R&R. This is an R&R. With the called for, so I could start that. And then I want to see about those stockings. Let's see how many there are. Oh, there's the whole alphabet. So there's 5 stockings. There's XY. You could also do ABC and XYZ. I thought I had another Blackbird. Oh, I have a couple of them. This one was a kit. Merry Christmas. It's that big square. Not square. Yeah, this is a square. No wonder I can't fit a square into a round hole. Anyway, this is a circle. It's a big, kind of a large, squatty drum. And then speaking of stockings, this was a kit from quite a while ago from Dine to Stitch. So wouldn't those all be cute just on your tree? Yes, they would, Carol. Even if you stitched them, would you get them FFO'd? Well, yes, I would. Well, good. Okay, that's all I have to say about Radar. Now I have a big mess, but it's all good. I have a couple things haul, and I'll show you those, just a couple. But in addition to all this Christmas stitching, there is a black thread November, Sal, something like that. Maybe Jacob started it, Modern Folk Embroidery. I'm not sure who started it. But since I have always loved my Anne Grimshaw, but find it difficult to get back to for some odd reason. And Plum Street's Mother, Little Bit 614, Paulette's mother, has it done in red and framed. So if you go to Instagram, Little Bit, and this is where I am on that. So I want to put at least some threads in this. And I'm stitching this on, I think it's 36 count butter pecan. Oh, I was right. By Lakeside. I'd like to at least go down and get to the alphabet. I think once I get to the alphabet, I'll really get motivated. I love Quaker, but for some reason, I just haven't stitched very many of them. Anyway, so I have that. And then in my same project bag, which by the way, I got from Julie Crasave. Thank you, Julie. I just love it. Since it's red and it came with all the accoutrements to go with it. This is where and this is by Bella Rose. Let me just take this out and then I can show you better. Bella Rose. Oops. That's not focusing good. Anyway, it's Bella Rose Needle Works. Handmade by Bella Rose Needleworks. So in that same thing, which by the way, I also have, she also gave me all of the goodies that go with it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Julie. I also have my Louisa Coulimar, which is a red sampler by Hands Across the Sea. And I have a start on that, and this is on 40 count hog bristle. 40? I don't think it's 46, I'm pretty sure it's 40. So this is the width. And hog bristle is by Fox and Rabbit. So in my sampler, that I also like to stitch reproduction samplers, even though I have all this Christmas. I would like to also, see my hair's driving me nuts. I need a haircut. Okay, one more thing. I'm going to show you a couple things I got. Haul, whatever you want to call it. New acquisitions. Some people call Happy Mail, but I don't know. Maybe Happy Mail is gifts. I don't know the difference. To me, I'm happy when the mail comes, as long as it's not junk mail. We get a lot of junk mail. I'd say 3 times a week, everything in the mailbox is junk mail. Everything. Circulars, Medicare stuff. It's like, I'll be glad when open enrollment is over. That and the phone calls to extend your car warranty. I was getting like 3 a day, and they're all different phone numbers. So you can block one phone number and they come up with another, and then you block that phone number. Who are these people? But they're relentless. I will give them credit for that. They're relentless. And of course, they leave a voicemail that says, if you wish to be discontinued from our files, please press whatever. Well, you have to have answered it to get that. And I'm not answering them. Well, that was rant. A nice little rant. Oh, I forgot. This isn't a new acquisition. This is the Scarlet House, and this is what I started last year on Thanksgiving. So I want to stitch on this some, even if I don't stitch on it till Thanksgiving. And this is the one with the big black eyeballs. I have quite a bit of it done, but not even close to a finish. So, and this one is called Hannah Tingy, and it's by the Scarlet House. And I'm stitching it on, I'm pretty sure this is Light Exemplar by Lakeside. Acquisitions, this just came yesterday. This is called Sunday Morning. This is the Country Sampler. School Girl Club number 2 on 40 count linen that I requested. So if you want, I don't know if the club is, I don't really know if the club is open, closed, whatever. But this particular one, and then there's also the Sunday morning little pillow. So they give you a diagram on how to cut your linen for that. It says, the Sunday bells are knolling slow, the summer morn show, the summer more show fair, while father, mother, children go and seek the house of prayer. I love that. And then I got 2 wool kits. This one, mine kit is to do it on black. This is from Blackberry Primitives, and this is a Maggie Banana design. It's called Boughs of Holly. Blackberry Primitives. I do have some red wool if I decide to change it, but I think I'm gonna do it on the black. And then I got the 4th kit in the series, the season series. This is also from Blackberry Primitives. It's called Pomegranates and Holly, and this is the winter one. Love it, love that red. That's everything I have to show you and talk about, and this is my radar. So now you've had a weather report. So anyway, try to remember to tell my husband the different things to put in the drop-down box. No quilts. Maybe next time I'll have some quilts, especially finished ones. That means they've been quilted. We hope. Hope y'all are doing good. I hope you're having some stitching. Oh my goodness, the sun is finally coming out. It's been a rainy last 3 days. Anyway, hope everything is going good for you and that you're looking forward to spending time eating turkey this month, but I will see you before then. So it's all good. Love ya. Bye.